So I started just going around and looking at different opportunities and thought, you know, we see these attractions, we see these things, and there's this empty Kmart that I've been driving by in Minnetonka for a long time. It's been empty for a number of years. So this is it, this is the spot. So I go out, I put together a plan. That brings us to Big Throw Factory. How does a company that doesn't exist 5 years ago become the top one in the industry? I've had a lot of different backgrounds, as you can tell. I've taken those different experiences and I look at things in that fashion. So we take things and approach it in a different way. When I opened, we put in a black light ropes course. So it's a rope course that's, you know, black lit, it's behind a wall. I'd never put up a ropes course before. Ropes course has a lot of empty space under it that's not being used. Would have been nice to think about before I put a wall up, but I had a wall and I had a bag space, so what do you put back there? Well, 6 months before that, I got a call from a friend. He said, hey, you know, you're in the, I saw this thing that you got to see. It's called escape room. This was 5 years ago. Nobody knew what an escape room was. And I said, well, what is it? Well, you put a bunch of people in a room, you lock a door, and they have to figure out clues to get out. He said, that just sounds horrible. I said, who the heck would want, from claustrophobic to just being in there? So but 6 months forward, I got an empty space that no one can see. Escape room seems like the perfect thing to put in there. So I tell my team, and they're thinking, well, who would want to do this? I tell my wife, I'm going to Chicago to see this. Why don't you go? I'm not going to go see that. She said, well, there's great food in Chicago. At least you can have a meal. I go there by myself. I go and I check out this room. I'm in there with 12 other people I do not know. And that hour went by the fastest I've ever seen. We were all interacting. It was an incredible time. So a month later, I bring this thing called Trapped in a Room with a Zombie. It's an escape room. You got a zombie on a chain. Every 5 minutes, he gets an extra foot on a chain. And you got to figure out these clues, while this zombie is trying to eat you. It was paid for itself in a month. Best thing I ever did. It was incredible. So we ran that for 4 years. It was new to our industry. It is very prevalent in our industry today. It's very prevalent in this market today. We took it out this year. Not because it wasn't doing well, because innovation is key. So what other things do you do along those lines? And that's how, myself and I push my team to look at. How do you take something, not just look at in your industry, but outside your industry to bring it together? Wipeout trampoline was the next one. Trampolines are huge. We got a great, kid market with trampolines. We're outside, most trampolines are inside. But that Wipeout show on TV, my God, that's a huge success. How do you combine the two? So I went to a trampoline manufacturer and said, hey, I got an idea. We take this bar, we put these 8 trampoline triangles together, and we spin it around. We have a control and an operator, so we can change the speed. And by the way, while we're changing it, it'll reverse direction. Not only has this become a great thing for kids, but what a team building activity. So we put this in 2 years ago, and we have it at all of our locations. I learned what are the key things to make a number one attraction. There are 3 things, in my opinion. 1, challenging to do so people want to come back and try it again. 2, fun to watch people do it. Nothing's better than seeing people knocked over. And you get a crowd and people do. And the 3rd and most important is they can't take a picture without your logo in it. Those 3 things make the perfect attraction. So this was a great addition, but it came from outside different components trying to put things together. Travel forward to this year, and we'll talk axe throwing, which is what brought me here. Aaron and I started talking axe throwing. So how does a life get you from one point to axe throwing? And so that's the story you're hearing today. So axe throwing is interesting. I found axe throwing probably 2 years ago at a place called Stumpy's. Makes sense. A bar that had axe throwing. It took me 6 months to get the courage to tell my wife I wanted to add axe throwing to a family entertainment center. Not a good response. I told my team, again, kids, axe throwing, just didn't see the fit. And I'm saying, well, we can get there. It's just you have to look at it differently. I said, our whole industry is going technology oriented. Virtual reality, high tech, all these things. Putting glasses on, nothing against those types of entertainment. But my whole philosophy is about interacting. How do you get people to interact together? Axe throwing, low tech. Axe throwing, you can't walk by and not want to try it. I mean, if I were to pull out these axes, and lets you throw them at one of these beams or a wall, I'm telling you, you will want to come up here and do that. But again, how do you make it work? So my wife, I tell her I'm going to, a friend of mine opened one because we'd been talking about it, and axe throwing only. So I said, I'm going to see his place. She goes, I'm going with you. Never traveled to see any attraction before. I said, why are you coming to this? To make sure you don't do it. That's the key. So we go there, I visit some friends before dinner, and at dinner, my friends say, look, we got to go quickly because they're going to this axe throwing event. The server goes, axe throwing? Tell me about axe throwing. A few minutes later, the busboy, I hear you're doing axe throwing. Tell me about axe throwing. Maitre d' comes over. I hear you're doing axe throwing. So I turned around and I said, we haven't thrown an axe, and look at this. I mean, this is crazy. So we go to this thing, and it probably didn't hurt that we were put in a group of 35-year-old lacrosse players from my wife's perspective. But nonetheless, we get in there, best time ever. She was thrilled. I mean, there's something about, you know, again, if you've thrown a dart, that's one thing, but to actually take an axe and throw it at a wall, it also fit the components of what we wanted. It's three things. It's challenging. It's not that easy to do. It's fun to watch people do it. And the way we set it up, which you can't really see, but from here, you can't take a picture of it without our logos or our name above it. We also learned in doing that if you aren't successful, you don't have a great time. Follow this. This is a tomahawk. It's 1.25 pounds. You could drop this on your foot, it wouldn't hurt you. We built a lane between each lane. We have a training video. We have an expert. You can throw this, even if it bounced back at you. You'd have to try to hurt yourself in our lanes to be successful. With this and the curvature of this, it's much more easy to stick this axe into a wall. I would say my experts within 3 or 4 throws can almost get anyone to stick an axe. You have a great time, and that's what we're about, having fun. So it's a journey, but through that journey, again, no matter how much you plan, be adaptable. No matter how many people approach you, be respectful, follow up, and innovate, not just in your world, but pay attention to what's going on around you.